It's time once again for another thrilling episode of Markout Radio. For the next hour, sit back, pull the stick out of your ass, and enjoy. Be warned though, smarks and internet know-it-alls will be offended, annoyed, and generally stop at what's about to happen to your ear pills. You've been warned. Now, Markout Radio.
Welcome back, Markout Radio. Dark Fox here with you. Jesus. Sure, what the fuck is going on with this deal this week? Alright. Got a little bullshit going on. Hopefully it all fixes itself. Fucking hosting service. Alright, anyways. Alright, here's your little buddy. Back here with you again for another thrilling episode of Monday Night. Actually, it wasn't that bad. I'm honest with you. We are the night after. What I got? World War III? Yeah, World War III. All right, so World War III had a live attendance of 12,000 people. 8,038 of them actually paid to be there. The gate was $113,000 with 110,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, last week, they run let's try that again. Jesus. They won the ratings war by 0.2 points. And, listen, it was a decent show. Let's say it was a good show. It was a decent show. I was expecting them to do a little bit better, if I'm perfectly honest with you, especially on the heels of a pay-per-view. I would have thought like the last one, the one on the heels of Survivor Series was going to do some gangbusters too, but it beat them, I guess it lost, but fuck it. Stupid things. It was another 0.2 of a point victory. So we're not looking at huge victories yet. I mean, you're looking at like a half a point here, a tenth of a point there. It is what it is, but like this week's show is actually pretty decent. Now, the Salem Civic Center for this week's show, November 27, 1995, seating capacity of 5,000 people. Well, I shouldn't say that. Seating capacity was actually closer to 8, but they had 5,000 people. 3,000 of them actually paid to be there. The entire show I gave a 3 out of 5. So we're starting to pull the nose up on this sucker. I mean, we're getting 2s and 2.5s and maybe some 1.5s as far as the shows are going. But, this week and next week, we're actually pretty good. All right. Well, let's not get into next week's yet. All right. Your hosts again this week, Eric Bischoff, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Steve Mongo, and Michael and his stupid ass dog. Dark matches this week. Gorgeous George 3 defeats Cobra. The Blue Bloods, Earl Robert Eaton and Lord Steven Regal, defeat Bunkhouse Buck and Dirty Dick Slater with Colonel Robert Parker. And Alex Wright defeats Disco Inferno. So the Battle of the Dancing Jackasses. Then we get on air and we've got a recap of World War III and the controversy with Hogan. Some of you wrestling fans may remember when Flair entered the Rumble at number 3 in 1992. Sid eliminated Hogan, who was a face, who then grabbed a hold of Sid's arm and helped Flair, the heel, eliminate Sid, the face, to win the Rumble. Now, it seems like no matter where the Rumble is, it's a recipe for fuckery. Most of the time, nobody gives a shit, like with the 2020 Ladies Rumble, for example. But here we are again. Hogan's in the middle of some weird shoot, work, elimination angle, and this time it's with his super best friend, Macho Man Randy Savage. So we've got another World War III recap of Hogan ditching the black promo. Now he would have to come out in the red and yellow tights. So why there was this reaction when he took off the bandana? Hold on, just checking. Yeah. Oh, look at that. The pop was actually piped into the building. What? I know, right? Anyways, apparently Bischoff started doing this in early 95 because Hogan wasn't getting the pop the WCW execs were expecting. The pops that Bischoff actually promised them when he made his multi-million-dollar deal with Hogan, who continued to be able to go away and make shitty films. So there you go. Anyways, the black gear gets tossed in a barrel that gets lit on fire and some production assistant running around trying to keep the chemical fire under control. The recap ends just as Macho, your new world champion, by the way, starts to talk. So that's always awesome. More money is getting sunk into production, though. So we've got boom camera shots, aerials, sweeps. The center stage lighting has been improved. There's still some issues, of course, with music and pyro fireworks being on cue. But overall, the production quality has come a long way in the past few weeks. WWE starts copying this new production style after WCW is on top of the ratings for about 20 weeks. Like, I think it was about 96 or maybe early 97. And since then, let's be honest, they fucking mastered it. And now it's been brought into the XFL's rebranding, and here we are, and the UFC is still sort of stuck in the 90s production by comparison. It's still dark and dingy, and even though the alleyway that the fighters are coming down is all lit up, there's very minimal showmanship going into these guys coming to the ring, I guess because they're quote-unquote not performers, and yet that's why they're being hired. I mean, why the fuck else do you keep bringing back some of these guys? Anyways, the actual matches tonight. Johnny B. Bad with his new valet, the Diamond Doll, defeats Diamond Dallas Page to retain the WCW World Television Championship. Holy shit! The TV title is being defended on television. Wow!
You are a big mark.
Well, that is true. The rematch from last night where Bad won the quote-unquote services of the Diamond Doll, who's not the booty babe yet. Bad sits on the second rope and lifts up on the top rope for Kim to come into the ring, but because Kim is a lady and not a Nitro girl yet, she squeezes under the middle and bottom ropes to get into the ring. Bad has his cannon back, which Kim gets to fire. Not going to go into the wording behind that one too badly. We'll just leave that one alone. Because he's still got to throw his goddamn frisbees out into the crowd. Again, totally fine for, your house shows and things like that. But Jesus, once we're on the air, goddamn. Then again, I guess in retrospect, when you've got some time to burn, sure, go ahead and burn it with stupid frisbees. Bischoff quips that this is the most watched wrestling show in the world. Well, maybe in America. As they won the ratings war last week, 2.5 to 2.3. They would win by the same margin again this week. But remember, they're not at war yet. DDP gives Kim a bouquet of flowers with a chain in it. When prompted by DDP, Kim throws the chain to Bad, who is the quote-unquote face of this match, so that he could cheat to win.
All right.
Still, it gets a good pop. I mean, legitimately, the fans are starting to become a little more jaded and cynical. It is the 90s after all, but Jesus fucking Christ. After the match, Bad confronts her, and even though he used it without hesitation in the ring, he confronts her outside after the match. So welcome to the Hogan Bischoff era of booking, where faces and heels don't matter until the creation of the NWO. And then it does. The announce team promotes the Hogan-Hugh Morrus match and the Sting-Luger pair-up, glossing over entirely that the Sting-Luger pair-up is actually going against a couple of horsemen in Anderson and Pillman. After the break, Mean Gene ramp promo. Here's the trouble in paradise between Sullivan and Jimmy Hart. Gene tries to interrupt, not quite sure why he's talking over the entire climax of this goddamn promo where Hart reveals that he'll get Luger and Sting over to the dungeon, but maybe he was biting into his 1-900 bullshit promotion time. I don't know. After this, you've got a rematch from World War III. Akira Hokuto and Bull Nakano? I don't know, because I was looking back and there were a lot of times when it was Bull Nakano, but whatever. At this point in WCW, she's Nakano. The pair of them come out with Sonny Ono, and they defeat Cutie Suzuki and Jesus Christ, let's try that again. Mayamudi Ozaki, Jesus Christ, I couldn't even get that. I apologize, Jesus. Total unprofessional bullshit. Anyways, Bischoff calls New Japan Pro Wrestling the GWP, for fuck's sakes. And then he calls Brain Brian. I wonder if the production staff yell at live talents in their ears back then too. Because I feel like maybe some jackass backstage was yelling at him for getting JWP wrong, and then he fucked up and called Brain Brian. Anyways, Brain quips that Nakano is kind of attractive in an Asian kind of way. Jesus. Gotta love the fucking 90s subtle racism angle. God damn.
You will respect my authority.
Nakano tweaks her knee after the Hokuto hits a cross body from the top rope out to the floor and misses. Ultimately, the match got 2 out of 5. Excuse me. The first match, the Johnny B. Bad DDP one, I gave it 2.5 out of 5 just because of the chain gimmick. I still don't like how it ended. But anyways. All right, after that, there is a promo for the Hogan-Morrus match. Hogan's still in black gear in the promo image, even though he just last night shed it, but whatever. You can't expect the promo staff or the graphics department to actually update that, can you? I don't know. I guess it depends on how much you're paying them. Hogan defeats Hugh Morrus in 3:41. I gave that one 2 out of 5. Bischoff says that Hogan is the biggest boy of the WCW and might not have the belt, but the fans still think he's the champ. Fuck's sakes, way to bury the whole goddamn roster. At least he's only in the mid-card, and he's growing back his Samson-like stash. Morrus hits the roids hard to get into WCW, and he's got the telltale titty stretch marks to prove it. It is not the worst Hogan match I've ever seen. He didn't bury Morrus, so as far as Hogan victories go, it was better than usual. The announce team did a lot more burial than Hogan did, to be fair. World War III replay promo as we go to break. This time there was no conflict from the cable providers to replay World War III pay-per-view. But to be fair, they were shooting themselves in the foot trying to stop these replays since WCW pay-per-views were outselling everything else on pay-per-view since boxing moved over to HBO a couple of years previously. All right, after this we get a Mean Gene on the ramp promo. Macho Man is the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion, which means that he's the only world champion according to his promo, which is just fine. The promo up until Hogan came out was actually quite excellent.
Hogan hours sucked.
And then Hogan comes out and reminds us all that his name is still on the belt. Then they recap the controversy, but the tape has been tampered with, and when the Giant goes to pull Hogan out of the ring, it goes all staticky. Hogan questions that. Giant comes out, blindsides Hogan, then chokeslams Savage onto the thin crash mat, which is quote-unquote concrete. Sting comes out to hold the Giant's leg, then Hogan waffles Giant over the top rope, then hits the ref with a back elbow, and then they fight to the back ramp where Sting calls Hogan off. Post-promo analysis of what we just saw ended with Sting calling off Hogan. What's that about? Only from a mind of a fucking moron would we question somebody being ultra baby-faced. Why would Sting call off Hogan? Is the inference that Sting's calling off Hogan because Luger's in the dungeon and the Giant's in the dungeon and you don't want to hurt another member of the... When did that ever stop anybody before? Jesus Christ, the fucking Yeti was getting blasted all over the goddamn place. All right, after that we get Luger and Sting defeating Arn Anderson and Brian Pillman in 5:36. I gave that one 3.5 out of 5. Luger's music has a bit of a problem coming on, but his fireworks work just fine. And when he's finally about halfway down the ramp, his music comes on. Now, listen, I embrace that I'm a Horseman Mark, but god damn do Arn and Brian play a heel team to a T. Just an absolute fucking masterclass of heels versus faces. And listen, special props to the cameraman on the ring apron who has fucking balls of steel. Listen, I know he's got a little platform there, but he's right there for some of the larger corner moves and get some really solid fucking footage. Unfortunately, all of this was effectively ruined by the ending. First of all, there was no 3 count. There was a loud 2 count and then a call for the bell, presumably because the ref panicked because Flair got into the ring. And then after a brief 3-on-2 Horseman advantage, Hogan comes out, clears the ring. Hogan goes then to punch Luger, but Sting stops him. Now, just last night, in the We're Shedding the Black gimmick, Hogan says to Sting that he trusts him and he doesn't care what his deal with Luger is. But tonight, all of a sudden, we're getting into an argument with Sting in the ring after he tries to waffle Luger. So, I'm not quite sure what's been going on here.
His pussy hadn't been powdered, and he was on his fucking rag that fucking week.
After the break, there's more analysis with Bischoff plugging Saturday night for status on Macho Man's health after being chokeslammed into the concrete. McMichael puts over their World War III replay, and one finally, let's just get this in details on Starrcade on Saturday night. Now, all encompassed here, despite the bad DDP angle not making a whole lot of sense and some questionable booking decisions and some really awful promos with their lead promo guy, Mean Gene, the show itself was pretty good. I mean, it did a good job of building towards the next pay-per-view, but I'm still not a fan of the Macho Underdog Championship angle. It feels unnecessary. I don't think they really have to sell that. I mean, I get that he's smaller than a lot of these guys, but not by a great margin. I mean, it's not like you're programming him against, say, like a guy the size of fucking Nash here. I mean, Luger's not much taller than Randy is. He's obviously a little more cut up, but it's fucking wrestling. It's the fans know that it's fake, right? I mean, even in the 90s they knew that, didn't they?
Well, that was an abortion of a show. Should the mood take you, check out markoutradio.com and leave a comment. You can also find links there to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Stitcher channels. You can even leave a voicemail on our Skype. Just click the links and share them.